Before you know it, it's going to be June again, guys. It's going to be late spring, and all my efforts are going to start bearing fruit, producing food, and more regiments of weeds are going to be showing up. But let's just look at the positives. Remember how we had Limpus and her one little chick growing up in the garden? Well, I got some bad news. No, nothing like that. It's just that the little chick turned out to be a rooster. Apparently, if you cuddle and touch the little chicks, they turn into roosters. The chickens that I seem to I don't know, the chickens that seem like little pets to me, like they're sweet or they're cool about getting cuddled and petted, turn out to be roosters. And I guess they're just trying to butter me up so I don't eat them. But Mr. Lacey, we were just calling him Lacey. But Mr. Lacey had to move from this coop to another coop. But in these pictures, you'll see where Mr. Lacey is still living in the mobile chicken coop with his mama until he, started acting like a rooster, and that's when he had to get relocated. So he's been moved. And this side garden, I've always called it the side garden, but I want to give it a different name. And you can see, this is where we were just a couple of weeks ago for January. I was resetting during a dry spell, imagine that. But during a dry spell, I was resetting the borders for the flower beds and pulling weeds a little bit as I was going, but I was trying to focus on one task at a time, mainly the hardscape. So during the winter, it's hardscapes and leftover weeds and just trying to tidy things up during time that I could eke out from my schedule. Because before you know it, it's going to catch up to me. But here I'm doing a pretty good job. I've got that chicken coop moving around pretty good. And Limpus and Mr. Lacey did a great job pulling those weeds. So in the foreground, you can see how bad the weeds and the grass got. And if you can look back there, you can see where I've been putting that coop and that it's been eaten up. If you watch my other videos, you can see just how effective mobile coop is working out for this garden. So during hardscape restructure, I'm having a reset, and I'm trying to use strings and a straight pipe, or not pipe, but a straight piece of metal to level this out. And I think it's working out pretty good. I'm also having to give attention to the little alleyways in between the borders, but there was a lot of leaves. I've got oak trees over on this side of the house, and in the background you can see I have the hoop, and I was doing pretty good trying to grow some potatoes, one turnip, and a few onions underneath that hoop. However, I think there was one night where I didn't put the cover on, and I had a real hard freeze and totally forgot about it, and I lost my potatoes. And then we had to clean the gutters out. There was an emergency clean the gutter out situation, and there may have been some trampling, but there are still some onions surviving in there. Now, this flower bed arrangement, this is a lot of bending and squatting and digging, and it can really do a number on my back if I'm not careful. So I can only come out here and work on this in spurts, I just got to keep moving my body and not stay in one position for too long, or it really hurts my back. But you can see where I've found out that the line wasn't straight, and now I've corrected the straightness. I'm trying to get this closer to good angles, good sharp lines. But at some point I have to call it. Okay, this is as good as it's going to get. Because I got other problems that come to the garden. And that would have to be the fact that during some portions of the year, I do not have any protection, like a fence, and I have visitors that come to the garden, and they like to step on things. And I'm thinking during the winter, it's not a big deal. I don't have like tender little plants, but they do like to befoul my garden space, and I'm not liking that. The dogs tend to not be about productivity around here. So here I am in the front garden. I'm trying to get over to the front yard, and I'm trying to rake the leaves. And this front yard is probably the home portion of the farm is probably an acre within itself. I need to measure it, but it's quite a lot of leaves. There's tons of trees up here. And here's Juby testing out the new bed I have made her, in her mind. Now, let's go up to the front garden. Again, Juby thinking she's star of the show. I am working towards getting the strawberries split and more defined. See, I've got my string, but there's a dip in the garden. I think we can see that. Oh, there's Limpus, who's probably actually the star of the show, to be honest. Limpus hangs out with me, and it's so nice that she and Juby get along. But here I've got lots of weeds underneath the apple tree that need to be taken care of. And I was just so proud of myself. I took this short little video showing my progress of where I'm getting my strawberries lined up. And I want to have 5 lines, 2 solid ones, and then 2 short ones in the middle. So there'll be 5 rows. Here is a shot from the other side. So if you watched the previous video about garden design, this would be those angles where I'm pointing towards the house. And I've got the strings pulled, and this is before I decide, well, no, this is where I've got all 5 strings. I've only got 4 strings, so when I got done with one, I moved it over. So there are 5 rows but 4 strings. And just pulling up weeds and trying to get a handle on this before spring comes. Now this is about the time of year that we received the strawberries last year, and we still had a crop of strawberries. And I know what other YouTubers, other gardeners say about, oh, when you transplant these things, take the green strawberries off. And yeah, that probably gives you a better yield the following year. But I have to confess that I'm not going to follow that. I'm just going to I'm going to let those strawberries grow, because last year we had strawberries and it was great. And I was like, wow, just imagine if we had pulled these when they were green, and we wouldn't have had any strawberries and missed out on this. So there's going to be one aisle that is not getting disturbed. So we'll hopefully have a good yield on that, and then these other ones that are just getting established, we're just going to see where that goes. Now, that's pretty much what I've got going on in the garden so far. It's mainly just trying to get the weeds pulled out of there and getting everything fluffed up a little bit. I don't want to disturb the soil too much. Come out here, as you've seen in other videos, and chopped up the ground real good and loose. So it's up to me to get in here and pull the weeds out and find the roots and get those out of there. A lot of prep work. And here we are. It's February, and this is basically what I'm doing. I'm just pulling weeds, straightening up the strawberries, and when my energy allows, I'm working on the western garden to get the weeds managed in it, because I don't want it to get grassy again. And boy, I sure would love to be like gung-ho about, oh, well, this year I'm not going to have any weeds in my garden. Nope. We're going to do realistic goals and measurable goals. I am keeping track of how much time I'm spending in the garden, and so more on that later, like how many hours did I spend and what was I doing. Like, was I pulling weeds? Was I planting seeds? Was I, pruning the apple trees? And we're going to just see X amount of hours equals this product. And there'll be more videos to come. So thank you, everyone, and welcome to the new subscribers. Feel free to leave a comment. Maybe there's a better suggestion out there for what I could call that side garden. But for now, I think the western garden is pretty good because it's the only one I got out on that side of the property. Alright guys, stay tuned.